Good afternoon from Austin Ranch. I'm in my apartment. I'm standing up here looking at the camera, which I set on the tripod on the counter. So I got lots of light and all those other things. Um, and I'm wondering if any of you out there happens to be a professional therapist. I have a quote friend who is not happy unless I have anxiety up to here, and I need to talk to somebody about it because I lost another night of sleep over it. And it seems to happen. Our conversation starts, and he keeps picking, and he keeps picking, and he keeps picking until it just goes completely downhill. So I need to talk to a professional. I thought about calling my doctor, and I do have some other resources, but it gets me to thinking all sorts of terrible things. And so I need to, if you happen to be out there in the audience and you're a professional not psychiatrist, I don't need a psychiatrist, I need a therapist. So anyway, it's been a tough couple 2 years. Had a stroke on 12/7 of 22, and John saved my life. 12/7 of 21, John saved my life. It was one other time he saved my life, but ironically, one of the people I'm having problems with is him. And so, but anyway, he's just not happy until everything goes badly. And I begged him, to please stop. We used to be such good friends for years and years and years. And he knows everything about me, and he just picks at me until our conversation just goes completely bad. So let me adjust that slightly so you get a little better view of me. And you can see my kitchen or my dining area here. So anyway, if you're a professional therapist, I need to talk to you. You can message me or you can send me an email. And I don't want to talk to you if you're just a creep that's concerned. I want to talk to a pro, and somebody that has certified credentials that knows what they're doing. And I'm going to call my family doctor, my primary care physician tomorrow, and see if he can refer me to a counselor, because it's just, it wrecks my health because my conversations with this person, they elevate my anxiety to the point that I can't sleep and I feel like I'm going to throw up. My heart rate goes up and my blood pressure goes up, and it's just not at all good for me. And I have begged for him to be kinder to me. The guy saved my life twice, but it can be icky. And when I'm sick and I feel my horrible is when he digs the hardest. When I was in a hospital especially, and especially when I was in a nursing home over here. So anyway, it's Sunday, the 30th of January. I have to go see the cardiologist in the morning to make sure I'm up to spec still. And I think they snuck that one in. I don't remember. It's in my calendar, but I don't remember making the appointment because it's at 11 o'clock, which I usually don't get up that early. I ordered something from Amazon by accident, and they said, refuse the delivery. So I put a big old sign on my door and taped it to my door that said, Amazon, do not deliver January 29th, 2023. And they did. There was the package sitting right there. So I already took it back in Amazon in true fashion. That they do is they've already refunded me. Amazon's easy to do business with most days, but the worst ever organization that I absolutely hate giving my money to is Walmart. Just awful. So there was one person on here that decided to do the shunning thing to me, which my one friend, he likes to do. And shunning is outlawed by the Geneva Convention as being a cruel punishment and psychological punishment. It is, and that's why religious nuts do it. Because shunning is not love. Shunning is hate, plain, pure, and simple. And unless you had bad parents, you already know that. So I spoke my piece. I'm going to put this on Facebook and YouTube. Again, if you're a professional counselor by training and trade, I'd like to speak with you. I can pay you a little something, but probably not a lot, because I do have a fixed income, which is actually pretty good because I was making a lot of money when I ended up on my long-term disability. So that's all I have for now. Thank you so much. And I think almost all of us have run into situations like this where, let me recommend a good book. It's called SOS, Help for Emotions. And then another one by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People. So anyway, there was a big stink made about me expressing or trying to make a teaching point about why deep prejudices develop. It had to do with a guy who would not let me park my truck and started blowing his horn, and eventually me and another driver flipped him off. And it related to why people start to have labels and stereotypes and where they come from. As a gay guy who started bodybuilding before bodybuilding was cool, I have dealt with lots and lots of prejudice. My parents were ultra cool around those sorts of things like virtue and reading and education. And I'm a gifted child. And my parents in the summertime, my mom was on the diaconate of the church. They would bring people, disadvantaged people, and people of other races to come live on our ranch in Nebraska. So at a very early age, I was exposed to multicultures. And I traveled extensively before I was even in my teens with my parents. My mom's whole family moved to Oregon, and many summers I spent in Oregon. And then I also moved to Oregon for about 2 years, and then I came back home to Nebraska, where I lived in Lincoln, Nebraska for 5 years. And I said I'll give it 5 years, and if it doesn't work out, I'm going elsewhere. So at that time I was big and built, and I started lifting in 1974. So I ended up in Phoenix, got way more than I bargained for, got a bipolar personality who was actually a closet gay case, which was pretty nasty. So anyway, ended up in Phoenix, spending about 2 years living in my car, literally. Dug my way out of that, came to Dallas, and the rest is history. Not everything in Dallas has gone well, but what happened was I made a lot of money. I made about $4 million since I've been in Dallas. Done pretty good. So that's because I'm a degreed computer professional. My degree is in computer science. I was really, really good at it. I could type about 70 words a minute, but now I can barely move my left hand, so my days of keyboarding are over. I'm lonely, I'm tired, and I need a good friend. So, and I keep telling my bud that, and he just wants to be icky all the time. And you know, like last night he said, "Here we go," and he knew he was going to get icky, and he did get icky. So, if you're a professional therapist, I'm going to call Dr. Stewart tomorrow and ask him about getting me in to see somebody so I get better coping skills. You know, it's not necessarily my fault because I'm a really nice guy. I start out today, I don't carry grudges on really anybody. I just kind of look the other way and say, well, that's who you are. And I just kind of look the other way, and that's it. 8 minutes I've talked about this now. And the camera angle I don't quite like because it's a little bit off center. But anyway, that's it. All done. This other video, people construed that it wasn't the teaching moment I meant for it to be, but it was and is. So anyway, and last night, my friend over here, who's been my friend since 2014, I've avoided at all lengths confrontation. He caught his roommate in bed with another guy with a whole bunch of contraband around, and he just turned the other way, and now he's back in for more, as so often it is with the battered wife syndrome. So anyway, I'm gonna call the doctor tomorrow, and I'm gonna get lined up with a therapist. If you are a therapist and you'll work with me, I'd gladly use your help, even if it's pro bono. Yeah, especially if it's pro bono. So thank you. I know from experience that you got to talk to somebody. You know, I do. Communications is key. Avoidance is the most terrible thing you can do in a relationship. That if you have a good friend or there's some rough spots, the most important thing you can do is get to talking to each other. And the avoidance, shunning. People that do shunning are truly some of the most hateful people in the world. They really are. And you should never shun anybody. It's wrong. You know, and there have been times in my life where I've told people I need to go the other way just because they had such a negative impact on my life. I had one friend years ago, Ed, and Kent will know exactly what I'm talking about. Ed, I finally told Ed, I said, Ed, I got to throw in the towel on our friendship. I'm sorry. And that was the end of that. And I haven't seen him since. And Tony, who is the psycho bipolar personality, closeted gay over in Phoenix. I just, I confronted him a final time. I called him one day from here after the Phoenix SWAT team the warrant team tried to set me up with a fake job in Phoenix, and I smelled it out and I called him up and I said, I know exactly what you're up to, stop it. So anyway, the Phoenix was just a really trying experience, and being homeless, is a horrible, horrible feeling. I felt so abandoned and alone. And that's the way I feel with shunning. I've never handled shunning very well. It's horrible. It's hateful. It's not how you're supposed to behave. It's not how a Christian person is supposed to behave. It's not how anyone is supposed to behave. That's why, and it's psychologically incredibly damaging. And that's why it's outlawed under the rules of the Geneva Convention. So that's all I have to say. Let me say it one more time. If you're a professional counselor or psychologist and have the paperwork to prove it, I'm interested in speaking with you. I need to talk to somebody. Thank you. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.